Let's go to our senior Washington correspondent, Dan Raviv. Dan, maybe you have an answer to this question. How do you sign a bill costing taxpayers $1.3 trillion if you think it's a bad bill?
Well, President Trump obviously was very reluctant, but he said that the only way that he could get the military spending that he said is absolutely vital after America's armed forces were starved of resources in recent years was to agree to give the Democrats a lot of what they wanted. Domestic spending programs that Trump said are largely wasteful. One reason that he wasn't too specific about that is that the president and the White House staff didn't really get a chance to review the entire bill.
But I say to Congress, I will never sign another bill like this again. I'm not going to do it again. Nobody read it. It's only hours old. Some people don't even know what it is. $1.3 trillion. It's the second largest ever.
Trump actually said that President Barack Obama had once signed a spending bill that was even bigger, and I bet he didn't like it either. Another reason to sign it, the alternative, was shutting down the federal government. Spending authority expiring at midnight until this big bill was signed, and Congress is out of town. It already started a 2-week recess. That would have been a mess. Trump is demanding that in the future, the Senate change the rules so that any bill requires just 51 votes and not 60 out of 100. Also, he'd like the president to have the right to cross out individual spending items. It's called a line item veto. I don't know if he'll get it. Presidents in the past have asked for that authority, and they haven't gotten it. David and Tal.
Dan, the huge spending bill includes a few things that touch upon the national debate over gun violence. And what is in the bill related to guns?
Yeah, not everyone has actually noticed this. For the first time, federal health researchers are authorized to look into the health aspects of gun violence and even gun ownership. Is it unhealthy? Is it dangerous? That's something that, in general, Democrats really wanted. But the lobby, the National Rifle Association, was absolutely against having that kind of research, saying guns are not a disease. One thing Republicans got, funding for programs that'll encourage having armed guards and, yes, even armed teachers if school systems feel ready for that. David and Tal?
Well, with 2,200 pages, I can see how this might have been overlooked. After this month's firing of Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Dan, and now the naming of the new National Security Advisor in the White House, John Bolton, are we already seeing some changes in Trump foreign policy, would you say?
It's too early to say. I think this weekend the president will have a chance to do a lot of thinking. He's already flown out of here to Palm Beach, Florida, to his estate at Mar-a-Lago. And typically in those weekends he tweets a lot and sometimes adopts some new policies. Now, H.R. McMaster is still officially the National Security Advisor. The shift over to the outspoken and feisty and tough John Bolton, that officially will occur on April 9th. As for Secretary of State, we don't really have one. Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, is the nominee. He'll have to go through Senate hearings. For a while, there's a vacuum, and think about this. Officials say so far there hasn't been any serious planning for that meeting that everyone's excited about between President Trump and North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un. When and where? No planning so far as we can tell. David and Tal?
Dan Raviv there in Washington for us. Thank you. And as Dan Raviv just mentioned, President Trump has named John Bolton, the former American ambassador to the United Nations,